Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on iFiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9.
Well, good morning to you. It's Tuesday, the first day of September. And for many kids, Spencer, good morning to you. They are getting ready for school. Some have already started. More are starting this week. And what a wild time to be alive. How you doing?
Good morning. I thought it was still June, so thanks for the calendar update. I got to flip a few pages
that's
here.
What I try to help when I can. Today on the show, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling on today to talk a little bit about the Special Olympics torch run that we have previously had over the last couple of years. And unfortunately, this not the year for it, but they are working on other ways to raise some money for that great organization. Also, from PUD 3, Lynn, Eaton, and Justin Holzgrove on to update us on where and how much bandwidth is being used by the PUD 3 Wi-Fi hotspots that are all around the county. There's 27 now, 29 are coming online in total here in just a little bit. He also will provide some great information about the opportunity for fiber access in parts of Mason County that have had poor internet broadband service right now. So that'll be a fun conversation here today on the show.
Since our last report yesterday, Mason County Public Health has notified us of 8 additional Mason County residents that tested positive for COVID-19, bringing the total to 344 positive cases in the county. Mason County staff are performing case investigations and tracing close contacts to reduce spread of COVID-19 in our community.
Well, today marks the beginning of the Washington State Patrol's 100th year of service. To mark the big event, troopers have been authorized to wear a special Centennial Badge through September of next year, the 100th anniversary of the agency's first day of road operations. The original badge was first worn by the patrolmen back in 1921. At that time, the patrol changed to the 6-pointed star badge that it still uses today. And on our website, iFiber1newsradio.com, you can see some pictures of those original State Patrol troopers. Pretty cool look back in history.
Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, WDFW, shellfish managers have seen record-setting participation in recreational clam and oyster harvest in Puget Sound this year. Higher participation has resulted in 3 Hood Canal beaches, which previously closed for clam and mussel harvest, now closing for oyster harvest earlier than expected. This closure is needed to ensure clam and oyster gathering opportunities in future seasons. Starting today, oyster seasons will close at Hood Canal's Belfair State Park, the Potlatch Beaches, and Toano State Park. The department previously closed clam and mussel seasons on these same beaches to maintain future gathering opportunities after the state reached its share of harvest. Oyster seasons will now also be closed.
Heads up for this upcoming weekend, Sunday the 6th at 2 p.m., a Black Lives Matter Shelton rally is planned. At the same time, at the same day, a Back the Blue rally is planned less than a block away at First and Railroad. According to an email sent out by the Shelton-Mason County Chamber of Commerce, City of Shelton Police Chief Darren Moody been in consistent contact with the chamber. He says business owners may want to consider closing their businesses on Sunday afternoon if they want to avoid the crowds brought by the two groups. Moody also notes that while he has no reason to believe property damage will occur, it probably isn't a bad idea to pack away any valuables and make sure all doors and windows are locked. Shelton Police plans to have extra officers and patrols in the area to keep an eye on the situations, coordinating as well with local law enforcement parties, including State Patrol, Mason, and Thurston Sheriff's Departments. They've all been planning for any contingencies. And once again, Darren Moody, Shelton Police Chief, cautioned that everyone has a constitutional right and the right to exercise those in a peaceful manner.
Marco Gonzalez retired 21 consecutive Angels while throwing a 4-hitter in the Seattle Mariners' 2-1 victory over Los Angeles. Jose Marmolejos hit a tie-breaking homer in the 6th inning. Gonzalez had 8 strikeouts and didn't walk a batter until the 9th inning of his second career complete game. After Justin Upton's leadoff homer in the second inning, Gonzalez retired every batter he faced until pinch hitting Shohei Ohtani's leadoff single in the ninth.
And normally we would tell you about the start for today's game for the Mariners, but MLB announcing the first two games of the Oakland Mariners series has been postponed to allow for additional testing and contact tracing after a member of the athletics organization tested positive for coronavirus. Positive test already caused the postponement of Oakland's game on Sunday against the Astros. Now games against the Mariners today and tomorrow are being put off. The A's also scheduled to play Seattle on Thursday. We'll find out what happens there. Again, on the show today, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling as well. And from PUD 3, Lynn, Eaton, and Justin Holzgrove talk about the availability of Wi-Fi around Mason County. It's all coming up on Daybreak. Good morning.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Hey, good morning to you. Again, September 1st. Jeff Slakey here, hoping you're having a great start to your day. Checking in on just some of the regional news stories. Federal judge has affirmed a set of firearm regulations approved by voters in 2018, ruling against a legal challenge raised by gun rights advocates. The Seattle Times reports I-1639 raised the legal purchase age of a semi-automatic rifle to 21 and established enhanced background checks for the purchases. Voters passed the measure with nearly 60% support, but gun rights advocates have vehemently opposed it. U.S. District Court of Western Washington Judge Ronald Lighton in his ruling cited current federal law banning the handgun sale to people under 21. One of the plaintiffs, Bellevue-based Second Amendment Foundation founder Alan Gottlieb, says the group plans to appeal. Getting an Amazon package delivered from the sky is closer to becoming a reality. The FAA said yesterday it has granted Amazon approval to deliver packages by drones. Amazon says the approval is an important step, but added it is still testing and flying the drones. It did not say when it expects drones to make deliveries to shoppers. The FAA said Amazon is the third drone delivery service to win flight approval. Delivery company UPS and a company owned by a search giant Google won approval last year. And sheriffs from two counties in the suburbs of Portland are rejecting a plan by the state's governor for their deputies to keep the peace in the city following the deadly shooting of a right-wing supporter of President Donald Trump. In sharply worded statements, the sheriffs of Clackamas and Washington counties said they planned wouldn't end violence as Black Lives Matter protests approaching the 100-day mark in Portland. The development leaves massive uncertainty in the liberal city, which is struggling in the national spotlight. President Donald Trump has made Portland a target of his law and order re-election campaign theme. And just some of the things happening elsewhere around the region here this morning. And a good morning to you. The Daybreak Show continues after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. It's time for the Sheriff Sit Down, presented by our Community Credit Union. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling. Morning, guys.
Morning. Good morning.
Like the shirts. Let's talk about them.
So, as you know, a number of years ago, we started working to raise money for our Special Olympics athletes. Mm-hmm. And this last year, due to all the circumstances occurring in the country, we were not able to do our run. So this year, what we're going to do is extend what we call our Beards and Boots fundraiser another month. And I'll let Ryan explain what the patrol division is going to do and other people in our office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what it is it's something that I don't even remember who came up with it, but it was a fundraiser opportunity. Plus, the deputies really like wearing a beard, especially during hunting season and some of those other things. So we put the two things together, and they basically donate $20 a month for each month that they want to wear a beard. And the sheriff has opened up our grooming policy from September through December to be able to wear a groomed beard for those 4 months if the deputy donates. They can also wear jeans and boots because not everybody can grow a beard. Yeah, obviously, Some of the other staff and stuff like that. So if they want to continue, and some donate and don't do either. But that's just, it's a fun way to raise some awareness and raise some money for the Special Olympics. And we have such great athletes in our community.
Certainly do. Casey, this has to have been 4 or 5 years, right? Because Under Sheriff Barrett was way against this. He didn't like. He didn't like the any sort of facial hair.
I'm not a total fan of it either, but it was kind of interesting when after Under Sheriff Barrett got down to where he was retirement, he was fine with it.
Yeah.
But this was something I'd wanted to do for years. I always say this, and I'd been in the torch run in the Thurston County area a number of times, and we had kind of made a couple efforts to get going. And so Chief Kevin Hansen was with me at a conference, and it was brought up about who was going to do Special Olympics. And I said, I'd really like to do that. He says, you really want to do it really bad? And I said, yeah. And so he stood up in front of the whole conference and said, hey, Mason County's doing the torch run this year. He goes, I hope you wanted to do that. So that's what got us motivated to get going. And the two chiefs set off and set up a running course for us. And we were very fortunate, especially last year. We had the United States Marine Corps, the Navy, and the United States Army Special Operations Air Regiment brought people down, and we had a great run. And of course, COVID hit, and it just kind of took that away. So this year, as we started talking about the Beards and Boots, I was approached by a number of the staff saying, hey, could we, to raise just a little bit extra money, can we back this up and start it in September because of the start of hunting season? And could we get started for hunting season because a lot of people take their time off for that? So we moved it back a month, and so you'll see some of the people will be wearing at work jeans and boots as a result of this.
Is there any thoughts about doing maybe not a sanctioned virtual run or some other way that folks, if they wanted to, just talk with their friends and say, well, I'm going to raise some money for Special Olympics, I'm going to do a run?
Special Olympics does have something along that line. If you go to their website, where people just like in Seattle, I saw for some other events, did bike rides. And you're kind of your honor system that you're going to make that run. And I'm sure that there'll be people out videotaping themselves running or something to raise money for the athletes. But it's a tough year all around for the athletes as well, because a lot of the programs that they do are, of course, together for our Special Olympics athletes here are very involved in basketball. Well, any of those group circumstances now have pretty much been shut down. Yeah. And so it's been a tough year to raise money for Special Olympics as well as for the athletes to have the opportunity to participate.
Are the shirts going to be available for folks, or is...
We've been selling them, and they're still online. But we were that was another one. Not for me and for the chief. We do a lot of public things. We do a lot of that kind of stuff, and go to Kiwanis and Moose Club and other organizations.
Chamber,
and when you're there, the chamber, and people, you have it on, and people will buy a shirt. They'll give you some money for shirts and say, hey, sell it to the next person. And that's been all gone this year too, the ability to get out and sell. So we actually started with this shirt sales, but it was very tough to get out. If anybody would like to make a donation or don't know where to go, bring it down here and drop it off at the radio station, I guess, or the sheriff's office if you'd like to make a donation to Special Olympics, because we really want to support the athletes.
It's tough right now. A lot of folks, especially that need those services with Special Olympics, there's a lot of budget concerns, and people are unsure about what's going on. So
we always had it run through North Mason High School and Shelton High School, and the students were involved supporting some of their own students. And it was always such a great program. So it's really kind of a bummer to not see that occur.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next year we can get back to some sort of a run. Hopefully somehow, but
we're looking forward to that, and we'll hopefully we won't be running in cowboy boots, but we'll be ready to go. And again, if you would still like to make a contribution to Special Olympics, and I believe I'm correct on this, that you can actually go online to Washington State Special Olympics, and you can buy shirts there as well.
Okay, great. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Chief Deputy Ryan Spurling here for the Sheriff's Sit Down, presented by our Community Credit Union. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. Gonna have a great conversation here with some wonderful folks at PUD number 3. Communications and Government Relations Manager Lynn Eaton and the Director of Engineering and Utility Services Justin Holzgrove, both on Zoom with me right now. Good morning, y'all. How you doing?
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
We've got school started for many, and this is a real big time as we are starting the school year.
very similar to how we ended it last school year, with the need for a lot of folks to use the Wi-Fi services of PUD3. And once again, they're all around, about 29 of them throughout the county. So let's talk a little bit about, the project, and then where these places are, and some tips for folks.
Yeah, Jeff, maybe I can jump in here quick. I've got some great stats, some fast facts on these Wi-Fi hotspots, if you will. We've had 7,325 unique users on these Wi-Fi hotspots. There are 29 of them throughout Mason County. Technically, there's 27. The last 2 are going to be live shortly, within the next week or so. The most popular ones are at the Schaefer State Park area down in southwest Mason County, and also at Evergreen Square in downtown Shelton. The average time that we are seeing folks connected to this is just under 6 minutes. Peak periods, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And overall, total system data pass, 4.77 terabytes, which is a lot of data. So these Wi-Fi hotspots are getting a lot of usage, and it just goes to show the need for improved broadband access in Mason County.
Yeah, no, that is for sure. And that's something that we've talked about off and on. Now, you mentioned just 6 minutes, though, is the time. And that's kind of important to bring up as we're going through this with, well, over 7,000 unique users. People come in and they come out, and these aren't meant for you to pull up and stay all day, right? This is to come in, get your work done, download what you need, and then get off and to the next thing. Lynn, is that right?
That's right. We don't, we're not really seeing this as a replacement for the school building. We're expecting that kids will pull up with their families, download the homework assignments or the recorded instruction that the teachers have, or upload their assignments back to their teachers, and then, complete their work back at home. The schools are prepared to work with families. That's why they're recording all of their instructions. And we don't expect that kids are going to sit in their car for hours at a time and do school. So it's
Justin, why do you think Schaefer is such a big spot?
I think Schaefer is a hot area because there really isn't any other broadband coverage available out there. It's DSL, and to be honest, it's low quality DSL that's out there. But that has changed, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Jeff, because just in the next week or so, we are sending letters to over 350 households in the Fish Hatchery, Schaefer, Ford Loop Road, Satsupp Maple Glen area, saying that they are now able to connect to PUD's fiber network. As a result of the CURB program, these folks are going to be able to access unlimited symmetrical gigabit fiber at their home, way out in the Schaefer Park area. It's a beautiful part of the country, but it hasn't had great internet service until now.
That's great.
It's really a cool. I've got 2 more stats. I love facts. So here we got 2 more stats. Since March, so since COVID started, the PUD's telecom team and basically all of the areas that support it have been going at 110+%. It's been going absolutely bonkers because we have assigned 350 new gateways. That's 350 new connections to the fiber network. Now, just to give you a point of reference, our entire year's goal was 250. And here we are now, 5 or 6 months in, and we've done 350 connections. But not only that, we've also expanded, including the southwest Mason County area, the Schaefer Park area, including that, we have fiber access at the road to over 700 new customers.
Holy moly.
Just since March. It has been crazy. So we know that this Wi-Fi thing is just temporary. It's a way to get a stopgap solution in there. But the long-term solution is fiber to every household in Mason County because it's such an important utility.
Yeah, it really is. So then if this will stay along through at least the foreseeable future, right? At least through the fall and the winter maybe, and depending on what the schools decide to do?
Yes,
Right.
the Wi-Fi hotspots will remain available.
Okay. And then weren't there some too or was that a partnership, that was a school district thing that they had it in their in the school's parking lots? Was that just with the school district?
Yeah, so we've partnered with Shelton School District to have it in, is it, Justin, you might have to help me out here. So it's at Evergreen.
And Bordeaux and
Bordeaux.
Shelton High School. And we've also partnered with Merriam Knight. They have one in their parking lot as well as Hood Canal School District and Pioneer School District. Those are the locations that we have at school campuses.
You can go to pud3.org/Wi-Fi to find the map of where these are available. And again, fast internet for folks on Wi-Fi, and it doesn't take long to get the information you need. It's interesting to see that just 6 minutes is able to get a lot of the details that folks need for their what they need to do for themselves. In addition to that, you see on their website a bunch of different other places that have availabilities, the different fire halls around, and of course, PUD3.org has all the information, not only on the public Wi-Fi, but on information where you could sign up if you're in those service areas that Justin was just talking about. Well, this is a great partnership, and super important that the kids have access with this school year coming up.
Right. We couldn't do it without our other community partners. You mentioned ports, fire halls, community parks, state and county parks. And so all those partnerships, Granges, are super important to making this work. The PUD doesn't have property at all those locations. So having those community agencies step up and say, we're willing to be part of the solution as well, was another key part to making this a success.
Again, the Communications and Government Relations Manager is Lynn Eaton for PUD3, and the Director of Engineering and Utility Services, Justin Holzgrove. Justin, get back on here when you got more of those things opening up for folks in the county. We'll talk about it.
We will. And I promise we'll be back because we are showing no sign of stopping.
I like it. Good to see you guys. Good to talk with you both. And thanks for all the hard work that you do and that PUD does for the community.
Thank you.
iFiber One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
It's Spencer Hughes with Jeff Slakey. We talk about COVID-19 a lot to keep you informed, obviously, and to talk about the various angles that COVID-19 has affected us. And it has certainly affected everyone in a financial way, from small business owners to just everybody out there just trying to pay the bills and keep their heads above water. Well, there's a non-scientific poll out of a couple thousand Americans, and it was commissioned by the online coupon company Slick Deals. And it reveals that Americans have gotten smarter with their finances. 51% say the coronavirus crisis has taught them to be smart with their money. That's a good thing, right? We all should be smart with our money, in or out of a pandemic. And very few people are when you look at it. Most people are in financial crisis and free fall of some sort. Most people not able to deal with a crisis, an emergency, an unforeseen thing that happens that costs even $300 or $400, right? 65% say the situation has transformed them into downright frugal people. Now, what does that even mean? When you're called frugal, it tends to be taken as an insult, but it really shouldn't be. The poll actually broke down the difference between cheap and frugal. So, for example, if you dilute your soap with water or decline buying a round at the bar when your friends do, you're cheap, okay? When everyone's bought a round of drinks and then it's your turn, you say, pass, that's being cheap. If you skip meals out, you monitor your home's energy use with an app, you buy used clothing, well, that's frugal, according to those in the survey. Other frugal cost-cutting measures that have emerged during the pandemic are growing your own vegetables, switching to cheaper toilet paper, and eating leftovers. Also considered frugal was tracking your electricity and heating usage at home to keep the utility bills down. Again, these are things that people have done all along. I always want to make sure that lights aren't on in rooms where there's nobody, right? Or that the oven's not left on. Things like that. If there's nobody home, there's no need to have the heater on, things like that. It's just a smart thing to do in general. But people are becoming more and more aware of it during the pandemic. 2 in 3 Americans also said they consider being called frugal a compliment nowadays, according to the survey. Josh Myers, CEO of Slick Deal, says, the coronavirus pandemic has tragically impacted the financial situations of many people and brought new focus to the importance of prioritizing spending. One particular result was a little vexing. 2/3 of those polled said they thought that whipping out a coupon on a first date is completely acceptable. 45% said they'd do it themselves when the time comes. Do you consider yourself a cheap person, a frugal person, somewhere in the middle, neither one? It's good to be frugal. I think it goes hand in hand with minimalism, which is something that I'm a big proponent of. We tend to have too many things. Not a judgment, just a reality. And many people are guilty of spending too much on things that don't really matter. So during a pandemic, maybe the frugal ones are the smartest ones. Good morning, you're listening to Daybreak, 1st of September. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on iFiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.